Battlestar Galactica.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys are good.
Airs Ease Battlestar Galactica. Ig Eathy Boys.
Peanut
Butter Belly
Popcorn.
Bime.
Popcorn.
Peter Butter Belly Bime.
You need your notes
Peter
at all?
Butter.
I thought I did, but I think I could carry without him. I think I know it by heart now.
Alright.
And welcome back to another episode of Richmond Real Talk, where you can find real teens having real talk about real stuff. This is your host, DJ Silver, currently recording here at the Richmond Highlands Teen Center. And tonight, I'm joined with two teens. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody?
Well, my name's Court.
I'm Robbie.
Court and Robbie, how old are you guys?
I'm 17.
17? I don't know what that was.
I'm 16.
17, 16, so junior and a sophomore?
Both juniors.
Somebody banging on the door?
Yeah, someone's saying it's locked.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah,
You crazy.
It's awesome. Go ahead and open it.
I was like trying to knock without... So put these on the ground, because
Electrical stuff.
I just totally put my fingers in that. This is mine now.
Thank you.
So, breakers will be here at around 9ish, so maybe like keep it to like half hour, 40 minutes. Okay, something like that.
Easy.
Sweet.
Evers, Bears, Battlestar Galactica.
Repeat that one more time.
Beavers, Bears, Battlestar Galactica.
Star Galactica.
Or Badgers, Bears, Beavers, Battlestar Galactica, Bort Bear Burmeister.
Oh, wow. Full names. Alright.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy if that was somebody's name.
Bort Bear.
Court Bear Burmeister.
Court Bear Burmeister, that's what they call you?
Yeah, well, that's my full name.
That's your full name here?
I call him Bort Bear Burmeister because it rolls off the tongue.
Alright.
By the way, that leather jacket actually looks really, really warm.
It is pretty warm.
Is it warm?
I wear it whenever I'm biking around.
Is that real leather?
It's supposed to be professionally cleaned like real leather, so I'm pretty sure it's just treated leather.
It's like double layered too?
Yeah.
Listen. How you guys doing so far in the school year?
Junior year is pretty hard.
It
so
sucks.
Both of you are in your junior year?
Yes,
Okay.
it sucks.
It's not like too exhausting, but it's hard to keep up at times.
Is it just the schoolwork?
Yeah, most of my classes I have a C or higher, but then there's my English class that's just like a 28%. I don't talk about it though because it gets me a little angry.
That doesn't mean you have a C or higher.
Yeah.
What grade below that?
Yeah.
Well, the good news is you still have a lot of time before you get to this point. You can still pick those grades up, but definitely pick them up because junior year is pretty important. Junior year is pretty tough academically too. I think the 2 years that are the toughest academically are sophomore and junior year.
Sophomore was a breeze, honestly.
I think it's junior mainly because you notice how boring some of your classes
Oh
are.
my lord, yes.
Especially like English and
English.
sometimes math. It just matters about your teachers.
I like my math class, honestly.
What kind of English is it? Is it like American literature?
It's American literature.
Okay.
Honestly,
that's pretty typical for junior English.
Honestly, American authors, it's either you have really darn good ones, or you have really bad ones.
Who are some of the bad ones?
There's none in the middle.
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald
F.
sucks.
Scott Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Honestly, I cannot keep up.
I can understand how he's a legend, but I don't.
Is he the one that wrote The Catcher in the Rye?
The Great Gatsby.
Oh, he wrote the Great. Oh yeah. Somebody else wrote The Catcher in the Rye.
I think that was Ernest Hemingway, or something. I don't know.
The Great Gatsby. Man, that was a pretty rough book to get through.
That book sucked.
Really
I still
boring.
haven't finished it.
It's really, really boring. I mean, it's a cool premise, I guess.
You want to know? No, you want to know a way more boring book than The Great Gatsby? The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test by Tom Wolfe. That thing is so boring.
The what?
The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. It's basically a book about drugs. About people getting high on acid.
That's boring? That's a boring book?
Yes! I couldn't get past like the first 5 pages because
Really? How's
it
a
was
book about drugs and hallucinogenics and...
It's so hard. It's slower than Tolkien in the beginning. So it just turns you off of the entire book. And it's just like...
I'm so glad that I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no. Honestly, that was the worst decision I've made.
In my English class, we have a total of 7 foreign exchange students.
What?
Yeah, we have almost all the foreign exchange students that are juniors, and one of them is pretty fun, because he understands. He came to America knowing our slang, so you just all of a sudden just hear like this foreign dude talking a whole lot of smack, like. And you just don't expect it, and he speaks in like 4 other different languages fluently. It's the weirdest thing.
I knew a foreign exchange student who's from Chile, South America, and he came over, and his English was really spotty, but I was impressed because over the year he stayed here, his English got drastically better. Like, it actually dropped. But the catch to it was that he learned all the slang.
Yeah.
So, like, whenever he would start talking and speaking in English, it was all, like, slang. Okay. So it wasn't really the most appropriate.
Yeah,
so he went back to South America knowing all the slang, English slang terms.
Yeah. So, like, a friend of my friend who went to Japan was able to teach the entire high school that dabbing was how you say goodbye and hello.
Oh my.
So one day we're leaving, everyone in the school was dabbing at him.
Oh my.
Actual dabbing?
Like actual dabbing.
Good lord.
Oh.
I know, it is.
Both of you go to Shoreline, right?
Yeah, we both go to Shoreline.
Okay. Well, I don't have a quote of the day this time, because in all honesty, I couldn't find any good quotes. So we're just going to jump to the second part, which is fine because we're a little pressed for time because the breakdancers come in pretty soon. So we're just going to go to the second part, and that will be the topic of the day. Now, I know you're stuck between 2 topics to discuss.
Mm-hmm. It's either the Boy Scouts or nature.
Well, the third part is Teen's Choice. So,
yeah,
I'll let y'all decide which ones you want to discuss first for the topic of the day, and then we can go on to Teen's Choice for the other subject.
Nature first.
I think
nature first.
I think nature first.
That's a good idea because the second part's usually the bulk of the cast.
Okay.
Podcast. So, y'all had some stories that you wanted to speak about nature?
See, most of my nature stories is either me biking and having an accident, or Actually, no. Actually, I've been up in Alaska, and it is beautiful up there. Up in Haines, Alaska, exactly. Like, there's a bunch of bald eagles, and there's this one, like about 20 miles out of the town, there's a Rainbow Glacier. It's so beautiful out there, and I'm just like, wow. It's awesome.
I bet it's freezing.
No, actually, in the summer, it's really nice. It's just
it's warm out there in the summer.
It's fairly good. Like, it's fairly good weather. Like, it's windy, so you'll get a little chilly, but that's about it. It's about 60 degrees maybe.
Yeah. See, I can't. That's cold for me. But I come from a different place.
Yeah.
Where hot weather is very, very prevalent.
I'm just Irish and Hawaiian, so my body doesn't know.
The Hawaiian part should be.
My Hawaiian part's like, I'm fine in the heat. Irish part, I'm fine in the cold.
Yeah, so, what is it exactly about? It's Friday night, all the teens are hanging out. What is it specifically about nature that you wanted to discuss?
Well, I think specifically more like trips and how you can really connect with people during those times.
Yeah, because when
through nature or through going on trips.
Going on trips in nature, because it's like it's if you do it right, it's only you guys, and you shouldn't really interact with much people.
Yeah, you won't have to deal with like social media and issues from the outside world. You can just cut it all out and just hang out with your friends and have fun.
You like camping?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I enjoy camping.
When was the last time both of you camped?
I do. Mine was last weekend, but it wasn't that long.
Oh yeah, you went up to Pickett?
Yeah, I went to one of the camp that I work at, and I decided to sleep outside, with no sleeping bag, but it's fine.
How was that?
You were fine?
Yeah, it was just fine.
Okay.
If you if you get yourself a few branches of the leaves and whatnot, it usually keeps you fine. They're just warm.
I think I'll take the sleeping.
Yeah. Except for I didn't have one because I didn't know I was gonna sleep outside.
Oh, I think the last one, honestly, I don't even think then. The last time I was up a Piggott, at least, was for the Order of the Arrow. Or was it Parsons? Parsons is the Order of the Arrow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, okay.
No, it's both of them.
It's both of them, yeah.
That's a Boy Scout thing, but
Yeah,
that's a different topic.
Yeah, that's a totally different topic. We'll get to that later. But yeah, no, I don't really remember the last time I went camping. But I do like it.
Mm-hmm. I haven't gone camping in literally years.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, I'm hard pressed to say it's almost been about a good solid 10 years. Actually, that's not true. Last summer, so the summer before this one that passed, I stayed one night in a tent out on my brother's reservation.
Oh, that counts.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't really a full camping trip because we got to instead of staying in the town in the reservation, we went outside. It was nighttime. We were done hanging out in the main town with everybody, so we didn't have anywhere to sleep that specific night. So that night we drove to a spot where we can camp out at. But it was just that night. We were gone the next morning. So
It counts.
I feel like camping really is when you're actually there
for a few
all
days.
day. Well, at least all day, all night. You actually set up a fire. You actually pitch a tent, like you're planning on staying there. For us, it was just like spending the night in the tent, and that was pretty much it. But I guess that counts as camping. Before that, it was years and years and years and years. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big camping fan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like camping at all. As a matter of fact, the woods scare me. I love nature. I just don't like to live in the woods or in nature for too long because that whole thing scares me. See, for me, I grew up a city kid. I've always been in a city environment or a suburban environment.
Mm-hmm.
So, in growing up as a kid, being in that environment, I used to watch things I shouldn't have when I was a kid. One of those things was Friday the 13th. So, as a kid who's more in the city, more in popularized areas, watching a movie like Friday the 13th, which is solely about going camping out in nature in the woods and then having some psychopath in the woods hunt you down and kill you, traumatized me as a kid. So for me, ever since then, camping was always really, really hard for me to do. I do love hiking, though.
Hiking is awesome.
Hiking is amazing.
Yeah.
I like the ability to go hiking, and then after you're done with your hike, just go back. Go back home.
Yeah.
Wasn't it one of the camps where actually a horror movie was filmed?
I think that would be better for the second segment.
Oh, yeah, that's
but,
so
that's
second
alright.
segment.
This past summer, I went on a trip with a group of people, and we went to Ontario, Canada. This small little town called Atikokan that's right next towards the border, and that's near one of the Great Lakes. And so around that Ontario area, there's millions of lakes, like millions. I'm not even joking, and there's so many lakes that you can buy a lake and name it after you for $20. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, very crazy.
I want
And
to
so-
name myself for
It's a very
I take that offer.
it's a very common thing for people to do who like camping, hiking, and going out on the water to bring a canoe, bring a pack, and just go on that. It's called a lot of people. It's a program called Northern Tier, and so basically when you go to one lake, usually there's either creeks, but sometimes there's no creeks. You have to carry your canoe. And you usually bring 5 huge packs, bigger than a person. Probably
80
bigger
pound?
than these,
80-pound packs or something?
sometimes it can be up to 90 pounds. The food packs are always the heaviest. And so, the worst time ever was when I carried a 90-pound food bag and a 40-pound canoe at the same time in 16 kilometers. That's about 8 miles or something like that. And
how heavy was the backpack?
90 pounds and 40-pound canoe on my shoulders.
So that's about 130 pounds right there on top of your body weight. Your
Yeah.
feet were dead by the end of the day.
And no, it was pretty dead. And we did that almost about, well, it wasn't 16 kilometers every day, but it sometimes we didn't even get out of our canoes for more than 24 hours. Because one time we decided to do a 24-hour paddle for some insane reason, and we didn't even get out of our canoes that day for some reason. We just like ate lunch and breakfast in our canoes. It was kind of weird, and that trip, especially with the social part, how you can not only like discover yourself in in nature. I think that's something really important that people can do, because before that trip I had a lot of self-doubt that I could do a lot of physical things, because that was a trip that you needed to be prepared. It was almost like the Everest of canoeing. It's insane. Like it's something a normal person can't do, but you can totally do it, because I thought I was not prepared at all, and I used to think I was not strong enough to do anything like that, and so I figured out that if you just try hard enough and you don't end up just quit, you can do anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of good stuff, and also like I kind of got a new motivation in life. Mainly, like, we can just keep on doing this stuff out in nature, but because we're destroying it all. There's deforestation.
Yeah.
And hunting going on. There's a bunch of extinct species. Why not enjoy it now when it lasts?
Yeah, because who knows, by 2050 or 2090, what we have today or even last year is going to be entirely different, because of how we're using up the world's resources and we're killing off the world's animals. And also invasive species are coming into play.
That's why I like hiking.
What are you referring to in terms of invasive species?
Like, when people buy exotic animals, thinking they can take care of them, then they can't take care of them, so they let them loose in the wild, and this is not their habitat, but they can still survive here. So they mess up the entire ecosystem.
They adapt to the area that they are around. So somebody brought them in here somehow. And fun fact: blackberry bushes are actually invasive. The ones around here are Himalayan blackberries. It's very weird.
Himalayan blackberries.
Yeah. So a glacier millions and millions of years ago came over here and carried some black bushes, supposedly. Very weird.
Yeah, that is. I feel that there has to be a connect to nature one way or another. I don't like camping, but that doesn't mean I don't like
hiking.
Well, I enjoy nature, and I enjoy the importance of it, I understand the importance of it, and I understand the importance of having that connect, because I feel like there's something very spiritual and cognitive connecting to nature and actually spending the time to do it. So going on a hike is one thing. One thing I like to do is actually meditate, but I like to meditate in somewhere that's not kind of metropolitan, so like a beach, or going on a hike and seeing a view. And not seeing buildings or anything, but just plain nature, plain water. Things like that. I feel is really euphoric and really, really important. And sometimes does get lost. Hiking's one of the things I enjoy. I used to enjoy whitewater rafting.
Oh, that's another story I got.
Those are pretty vicious.
That was 2 summers ago.
Oh,
and that was my first.
Is this the one where you did like a full flip or something?
So wait 1 second. So it's this. There's this river in South Idaho or East Idaho called the Middle Fork and the Salmon River, And this river is super, super well known throughout the world. Arguably one of the best rivers in the world to do river rafting in. Because it has stages of class 3 rapids that are that can take you half an hour to go through. It was amazing. And there's stage class 5 rapids and everything. So stuff that...
Fives are vicious though.
Yeah, those are 5-foot waterfalls, stuff like that.
Like a professional.
Yeah.
Those.
That was one of the first days, and I was the first one out that day. It was in the morning. It was horrible. That was the first 5 minutes. And it was a famous one too. It's called Pistol Creek because it's one of the faster parts in that river where you can go up to 80 miles per hour on water. So, and everybody else made it just fine in front of us. But the thing is, I was in the front of the boat because we'll get your action in if you're going to do that kind of trip, because you had to spend a lot of money, because you had to do a day's worth of trips, or a week's full of trips. So it was 5 days, I believe. And there was a lot of food and stuff. And so there's also, it's such an old place, and the river's been so used. It was used by the Native Americans, and you can see all along the river where they did their pictographs. Like they have it just on the rocks next to the river, and it's like been untouched for some reason.
This is in Idaho?
Idaho, the Middle Fork. It's pretty cool. And so there's this thing called Pistol Creek, and we came at an angle to the point where I was the only thing that was like, if it was gonna hit the left side of the raft first, and I was on the front and the left side, and so when you go down those class 5 rapids, it's a waterfall. It's about 5 feet too, and so when you got down there, I was completely submerged and I got sucked out because that's just how the water flew, and the water there is all glacier water, so it's brand new,
Freezing cold,
but crystal clear.
Oh yeah.
So you can open your eyes and it feels like just like you open your eyes just in regular air. And so I opened my eyes, and I swear the whole thing was gonna go on top of me, like the whole entire raft. And the worst part was that the raft that I was in had this thing called I think it's called a gaibo or something like that, and it's basically your portable toilet. And so if that goes into the water, and somebody else is in it, you're covered in crap for the next few hours. And that's and I was just closing my eyes, going like, I hope this does not happen. And then nothing happened. I didn't hear any noise. And then I just opened my eyes. I swim to the top because I was probably under there for 20 seconds. And I just like look around completely amazed how there was no tip over boats, because that was a pretty long fall.
I did fall out of a raft once.
It's fun.
Boats are fun.
It wasn't that fun. Well, I can't remember how many times I've been rafting. I went rafting a lot. That was the last time when we felt the boat, which it wasn't even that bad because it was a class 3. Class 3s are pretty fun.
They're enough to knock you out if they're consistent.
It could definitely, class 3s are exciting, but they're not the most vicious, so you don't have to worry too much about safety. Like if you're in a class 5, then you have to really be careful.
That's when,
because that could knock you out.
Class 4s can knock you out, but number 5s, that stuff can kill you pretty easily.
That's vicious. You have to be a trained professional to do a class 5, but we're in a class 3.
Are you a trained professional?
And we were trying to go over a rock. There's a rock popping out.
Yeah.
The water. And our guy thought, oh, we'll just go over the rock.
Yeah.
The raft is big enough, the rock's not sticking that much out, we'll just glide over it.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing us go closer and closer to the rock, and I'm thinking like,
that's not.
We should
probably move.
We should probably like
get out of the way.
I'm looking back at him, and I keep looking back. He's not saying anything. So I'm going back and forth between him and the rock, like, hey, this rock's getting kind of closer, and the closer we got, the bigger it looked. So I'm sitting here like, are we really gonna go over the rock? We're not gonna be able to go. So we hit the rock, and then the raft just stops. And and instead of him saying, all right, paddle away, he just stays silent like we're gonna go over it. And I'm thinking and the rock hits my side because I'm on the back side.
Yeah.
And water's pressing against us. So then you see the raft just slowly start to lift up as it's wedged between the rock and the water. And it slowly lifts up and up and up and up. And, and I was on the side of the rock, so I'm seeing the boat lift up, and the people in front of me are now on top of me. Because the people from the right side completely started to fall off, and then I got knocked out.
Oh.
Like, I got knocked out the raft.
Oh.
Because somebody fell out and hit me.
Oh.
And we were all out of the water. Everybody was completely out of the water. The paddles were all in the water flowing down.
Oh no, that sounds like...
It was bad. It was really, really bad. And I remember, like, the entire time, what was funny is I actually wasn't as scared as I thought I'd be.
Mm-hmm.
I was more upset than I was scared because I had a life jacket on. I knew no one was going to die. As a matter of fact, I could have just swam diagonally to get to the shore. But I was mad because we could have avoided it. It was something simple.
I feel like did the guy get like fired from that?
No,
he didn't.
No, actually, I don't know. Actually,
so, I feel like he would have been fired
because
from
that. It wasn't a commercial place, so it wasn't like a place where you could rent out the rafts and then you would have a guide with you and then you're doing it. It's like we knew the guide through a family friend.
Okay.
And he was just like, hey, let's go rafting. I know y'all like to raft. So then me and my uncle and my dad and a couple other people were like, all right, yeah, let's go. They're like, all right, I know this great spot out here. We'll just take a trip out there. So it wasn't like a commercial spot where you rent out everything and you rent out a guide and he takes you on a tour. It was actually more private than that. But nonetheless, the water was cold. And the water wasn't that high. See, that's the thing about these rivers is they're not that deep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Just because they're really fast and vicious
doesn't mean
it's deep at all.
Deep is like probably better at times.
Deep is much better.
Yeah.
Because you're not the rocks that could be harmful are down below. I mean, the water may still go really fast, but it's not vicious because when it's shallow, the different aerodynamics is making the water go all crazy.
Yeah.
And then you got to worry about hitting the rocks. So it wasn't shallow and I was hitting my legs and everybody flew out. My dad actually was the one who got himself into the raft. I don't know how he did it, but I remember I had a rope connected to the raft and I was just holding on to the rope for dear life. And then he hopped in the boat and then he grabbed me and pulled me into the boat. And then he grabbed my uncle and pulled him into the boat. And then there was one dude, we didn't get to him probably for like another 5 minutes. It was like a good 5 or 10 minutes till we caught up with him down the river. But those rafts are really, really fun. I mean, doing anything nature related is really fun.
So with those rocks, like you said, that stop you, points at the middle fork, you be in the middle of this huge class 3 or class 4 stretch of rapids. That's why it's so well known. Is that you can have 5 minutes straight of class 4s consistently. So your raft's like, and it makes that sort of sound when it hits the next rapid. And sometimes there's a rock right there. You don't see it. You can't see it because the rapids are that big.
And
you just stop in the middle of the rapids. So there's water getting rushed into your face constantly.
Yeah, that's the other thing about rafting too is that water splashes. There's no way you can go rafting and not get wet.
If you're doing it right,
Yeah, you're gonna get wet if you go rafting. And that water is horrible.
Yeah.
It is so cold. It is fun though. It is fun. I mean, you just gotta be careful. If you're gonna go out to nature and everything, you really gotta know what you're doing and you really gotta know the area out there. The biggest thing I'm scared of when it comes to it is actually animals.
Yeah.
I'm actually scared of getting attacked by an animal.
Yeah.
I've been attacked by animals before, like actually viciously attacked, and it kind of traumatized me.
Logan was once chased by a dog and he now has PTSD over that.
Logan got chased by a dog, really?
Logan got chased by a dog.
It's pretty scary when they're actually viciously.
When they're coming after you, it's
not
terrifying.
Not playing around or anything. When they're actually
like last Saturday, I was biking out with and I was playing Pokemon Go with some friends, and one of my friends, Michaela, brought her dog Spyro. Now Spyro's very, very intimidated by bikes, so I just like kind of passed by going medium speed, and I feel Spyro nip my leg, and actually bite on my leg. I'm just like, oh crap, Spyro, no! And then later I look at my leg and I actually see a tooth actually made a mark on my leg. I'm like, great.
Yeah, I don't have patience for that. But this is a good time to transition to our next segment, which is the third segment, Teen's Choice.
I think we're going to talk about Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Boy Scouts. Recently it's become more of a controversial topic, but I'm going to try to stay away from that. Mainly because I don't care.
You were going to say something regarding Boy Scouts.
Yeah, you were going to say that.
What do you...
when Girl Scouts were the Girl Scouts are now suing the Boy Scouts for copyright infringement, even though the Boy Scouts have been here longer. And they now dropped the boy and started allowing girls to join the Boy Scouts.
I actually heard about that. So.
Yeah.
But before we go on to that topic, earlier in the podcast we were talking about, I think, a trip or something that had... You said that it was in correlation to...
the OA.
So the OA, which is the Order of the Arrow, it's also known...
I was part of it.
I'm not part of it, but I just know a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it's called the Order of the Arrow. It's an honor society of Boy Scouts, and it's arguably a cult.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I don't know if I'm actually allowed to disclose what the orientation was for it.
Yeah, it's secret stuff, man.
Long story short, it's you stay silent and then you do stuff. That's about it.
It's pretty weird.
And the stuff that they have you do.
Yeah.
Or just
I have no idea. I'm not in it.
I'm not. I don't think I could disclose the information. It was mostly just service type stuff. So
yeah. A lot of it's native, especially around here. It's a lot of Native American influence.
Yeah, it is.
So it's like they give you the local tribes give you permission to do stuff, very sacred stuff.
Very sacred.
And so you have to have a hush. You have to. You have to be quiet about it.
I've seen some very sacred things, and honestly, I'm gonna respect. I will respect that stuff because it's not cool to ruin things that are really, really once in a lifetime that you can see them. And yeah.
Is it hard to get into something like this?
So I got in because honestly my troop is very small, and we had 3 older scouts, one of them being me, and they said all 3 of us could join it. I think, yeah. That's when I met Trent. It was my orientation. That was a great night.
Yeah.
But my dad, when he tried to get in, he was in a troop of 30, and only 3 people got in.
Yeah.
How did they determine who got in?
I think it was just through
there's these things called elections that basically who's the most ideal scout, and I don't think there's ever such thing as an ideal scout because everybody has their flaws and everybody slips no matter what.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a perfect scout. I don't like the stereotype that scouts are the nicest people. They always open the door, hold the door for you.
Yeah, no, there are some scouts that honestly are complete jerks.
So some of the most messed up people I've ever met in my entire life have been from scouting.
Scouts, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about it right now?
Right now, personally, as a camp staff, right, I do Cub Scouts. I'm involved with this thing called Venture Scouts, which is just like Boy Scouts, but it's always been co-ed. It's also cooler in every single way. And Boy Scouts, now that it has co-ed, I don't really mind that. Everybody's making a big fuss about it.
And honestly, I swear, back when the Boy Scouts were actually being ridiculed for not allowing girls in, the Girl Scouts were some of the people ridiculing them, being like, "Oh, we allow boys in though," and it's like,
yeah, it's
Now we come to today. The Girl Scouts are suing the Boy Scouts for copyright infringement. I don't know how. Not that many details about this have been disclosed so far, I believe. And Boy Scouts have been here longer, and it's just scouting of America now.
And so my big topic about that is every country in the world has its own form of scouts. Not like Boy Scouts, it's just called Scouts.
Yeah.
And every country but us, and I think some small African country are both co-ed in some way. And so the fact that it took us so long to change that was pretty...
Wait, you're saying that all the scouts, excluding us, is co-ed?
Yeah, it's always been co-ed in just all these other countries, even in Saudi Arabia. You know, women, or I think it was Saudi Arabia or Syria. It was Syria that like women just started to drive or something like that, and they've always been allowed to be in their scouting program. So like, I don't know what was up with us.
I think it was because that, like, it started out as Boy Scouts, and then since we didn't let girls in and we didn't do it earlier, the Girl Scouts came into play. So then it wasn't needed anymore because there was no option for females to join scouting.
You guys want to hear something that's kind of weird? It's a butterfly effect.
What?
So, in the early days, in Boy Scouts, 1910, that's when it first came out.
Yeah, Baden Powell.
Segregation laws were still a huge thing. And so, because Boy Scout troops wouldn't allow people of color to join their own groups, or, their own troops, they decided to make their own groups. And that eventually became this little well-known group called the Bloods. And came the Crips. And the Crips, for some reason, the Crips were actually made to stop gang violence. Mm-hmm. That was the weird part. And so, unintentionally, Boy Scouts of America started gang violence in America, or helped
make some of the most
one of the
popular.
baselines. It's very weird stuff.
Well, in terms of the gangs, to be honest, the majority of street gangs that you know today, when they were created and when they first started, it was actually to combat. It was a form of protection. Example of that is like the Latin Kings. It's a very old gang. It's not, you don't hear about it now because it's not really a West Coast thing. It's more of a Midwest to East Coast type of thing. And they're really, especially like New York and Chicago, Latin Kings is a really, really big gang. It's mostly Puerto Rican and black.
Here we have people. Like the Hells Angels, I believe.
Yeah, but the thing is that when the Latin Kings were first created, it was actually created because of the Black Panther movement, and they saw what the Black Panther movement represent was really just protection in the black community. So they said, well, we want to create something where there's protection in the Hispanic community. So they created the Latin Kings. But it turned into something completely different than what it is today. Before, when gangs that you know today were created, it was to protect communities from stuff. Now it's completely different. Now it seems like gangs are the number one thing one of the things that ruins communities. And propagates so much violence within communities. In terms of the Boy Scouts, I always wanted to get into the Scouts. When I was younger, but I never got in. I think I was just so busy with just playing sports to me it was like, I already play sports. Why do Scouts? I might as well just stick with sports.
Also, like, with my experience of scouting, the reason I'm an ex-Boy Scout now, because honestly, with my troop, it wasn't that good of a troop, because the last camping trip we were going to plan, it never went through, because it was so poorly planned and it was so rushed at last minute. Basically, long story short, I was going to be the oldest scout on the trip with then 2 other younger, quote-unquote, older scouts, because we were taking 12 Weeblos.
Oh my God.
2 actual Boy Scouts who were both very immature. Maybe a third one, but he dropped out last minute. And then there's me, who would have to lead all these people. And suffice to say, it was poorly planned, and honestly, it made me lose hope in the Boy Scouts. And it's what kind of made me want to switch out of my troop go to a new one, and then I got caught in limbo for like sophomore year, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm done. I got into the OA though, then finished my ordeal is what they called it, and thought I was gonna do something there, but I was still stuck in limbo, and I'm just like, you know, I gotta cut my losses. I got other things to do like robotics. I can easily get down a resume, and people will see that and be like, wow, that's really cool. And even
so you're kind of done with the scout life.
Yeah, I'm done with this. I understand scout life, and I'll always look at the scout memes and be like, ha, I remember that.
There's a lot of scouting memes.
Yeah, there are a lot. It's funny. But yeah, no, and I still have like a friend or two from scouting, but not many.
What about you? Are you still in the
I'm
Scouts?
still in the Boy Scouts. I'm actually really close to getting the top rank Eagle Scout, and right after that, there's this thing called Venture Scouts. Like we said earlier, it's always been co-ed. You get to do a lot more stuff. It's very more testing your skills outdoors, sort of, and leadership. It's a lot about planning your stuff and getting it done and then doing it. So you could, it's mainly high adventure, and high adventure is basically when your trips are so hard that you need to have a certain age limit, and you might even need to train for the next year to go on it.
Didn't like that start at Parsons or something?
Nope.
Oh.
But yeah, so that's what. So I like scouting. I think it's a good. It teaches you very great life lessons in a very organized way.
Oh yeah. What's some of the things you'd have to do to train for?
So this next summer, I'm doing this thing called Cavalcade in this scouting branch in New Mexico called Philmont, and basically you have to have. So cavalcade means you're going on horseback, and riding on horses. That's like really hard on your thighs
and your legs
and you have to train for that. You have to either learn stuff.
You need to learn how to ride
or like last summer with the canoeing thing, you have to canoe a lot. You need to get a lot of callus on your hands, so because if you paddle a lot throughout a day, you can almost get like a rug burn on your hand.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And so you have to do that sort of stuff. Basically, just getting muscle memory. You don't have to be good at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just gotta be able to make through.
And this is the first time you're doing planning out a trip like this.
Yeah. It was usually just me just going on it, and I'm planning it now, and it's pretty fun actually.
How long do you usually go for?
For like a trip like that?
Yeah.
It's usually a week, but this one might be 2 weeks. 14 days.
Straight just walking.
Just like in the camping out, going with like we're gonna be on horseback, so most of our days we're gonna be interacting with the horses or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And
are you gonna become best friends with your horsey?
Oh yeah, dude, I totally am.
Are you gonna make that horse part of the boys now?
The funny thing is with horses, my family's just always like one of my mom's aunt. She had horses. I've always wanted to ride a horse my entire life, and I've been around horses. I learned how to treat a horse before I even rode one, and I rode one only like a month ago for the first time ever.
Mm-hmm. I've ridden a horse before.
It's pretty fun.
Oh yeah, no, it's fun.
And it's a lot more calming because somehow it's just the horsiness of the horse. It just is such a relaxing thing to experience. I don't understand why.
Yeah, I think I've only ridden on a horse like twice. And the last time was I was in high school. I think I was about like 16.
Honestly, horseback riding would be a fun idea though.
Like when you were when I started thinking halfway during that horse riding session, I'm like, this horse understands me. We are communicating in so many ways, and it's only us knowing what's happening. For some reason, you just have a connection with that.
Oh yeah, no.
It's weird.
It was really hard riding the horse.
Oh
when
yeah.
I was riding. It wasn't easy at all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like
minute details,
things that you have to do.
And you don't think that. First of all, you think you just had to make a noise, and then all of a sudden it's gonna haul.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna haul it, but
You
Yeah.
learn how to do it though.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. Well, it's about that time for us to wrap up. I think we've been on here for about 45 minutes.
Okay.
So
Oh,
we're
wow.
going to cut it short right now. I know it goes by fast. It goes by fast when you really get into it.
This was fun.
But that will be the end of tonight's Richmond Real Talk. Is there any last comments or any last things you want to say before we go ahead and cut the mic?
Ride horses.
Bears, beavers, badgers, Battlestar Galactica.
Drink more water.
Hydrate or die. That's
actually,
one thing
That's actually a good tip.
That's a thing we learned at Boy
That's
Scouts.
I
I
don't
can't
think
take
that
it.
There's no better relationship like camp stuff and drinking lots of water.
Yeah, no. We've had times when kids actually passed out.
Because they didn't drink enough water.
Yeah, in the
Yep.
summer, in Boy Scout camps, it gets dusty.
Oh, it gets
Gets you
dusty.
hydrated in like 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, no. I remember Piggott. Those days were fun.
Anyways,
Well, you don't have to worry about being hydrated too much out here because it's Seattle.
yeah.
So you wouldn't think to hydrate until you're in that situation.
Yeah, but just religiously bring a water bottle to school.
It's
and
important
drink
to hydrate. It's extremely important, even if you're in a kind of cold, moist climate like
Yeah.
it is. Anyways, all right, we'll go ahead and cut it.